My name's Gemma Fieldsend. I have a background previously as a clinician working in the mental health services, and then moved into education a number of years ago. Have been working for Flourish as a trainer for probably 2-3 years now, delivering the attachment and trauma training in education settings, along with whole array of other training, and alongside that have been very fortunate to be working with Jess in many different roles and capacities.
Hello, my name's Jessica Parker. Like Gemma, I'm also a Flourish trainer, also for a similar length of time as Gemma, working on the attachment and trauma and the 3R programs, and also some of the bespoke projects that we do as well. Before that, my background was working in schools and colleges, and I'm dual qualified across both psychology and teaching. More recently, I've started doing a PhD at King's College London in psychological medicine, also looking at sort of school-based prevention.
Oh, so writing the book, I must confess, myself and Jess one evening were sat kind of reflecting on all the work that we'd been doing across the country, working with school leaders and educators, and really thought that we wanted to bring to life kind of those experiences and the work over a number of years. So we sat down and we thought, let's write a book. Little did we realise how that journey would progress, but it was one of those light bulb moments where we both were connecting in so many ways that we really wanted to equip educators and leaders with a practical toolkit, practice, research and lived experience. So that really was the start of our journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to add to that, I think so many people, Gemma, for so many years were like, you guys should write a book. And, never really took anybody seriously. And yeah, again, finally managed to kind of actually create the time to sit down. And I think especially at the moment, it's such a difficult time, not only for schools, but for children and young people as well, in terms of, the mental health crisis, the exclusion crisis that, we're all experiencing at the moment, that we really just wanted something practical and user-friendly that people would genuinely find useful.
I think a really important thing for us to think about is the current societal challenges, along with everything else that is going on in the world that we live in today. And, really thinking about the importance for our children and young people, not excluding the priorities for adults and educators as well, but for our children and young people, a sense of safety is incredibly important, and feeling seen and held. And we really do know that behaviour is communication, and the value and importance in the curiosity of adults to think beyond the behaviour and to recognise children with attachment, adverse childhood experiences, mental health, so many challenges currently, that actually we all have a collective responsibility to think about the well-being of our children and young people, and to never assume. So I think that's something for us all to hold in mind, is to never assume through the presentation of a young person that everything is okay for them. There is so much more. So actually, if we can take a trauma-informed approach and recognise every single one of us can be impacted and affected. I don't know for yourself, Jess, if you'd like to add any other things there.
Absolutely. I think, we're so busy in schools and colleges all of the time, and deeply passionate about what we do, that we're always looking for very complex interventions or massive strategy shifts. And I think what trauma-informed practice really gifts us is the ability to probably think about what brought most of us to this line of work anyway, which was people, building those relationships with children and young people. It really is the glue, isn't it? The golden thread of being able to promote that psychological safety, and how we really enable young people to gain that deep sense of belonging.
Yeah, and I think what a powerful question, and kind of putting, one thing to take away. I think Some of it is just that holding in mind and that reminder of actually there is amazing work going on across the country. So we wanted to gift and share best practice, how people have overcome those barriers to be able to recognise what we are doing, and then to think about what are some meaningful strategies and interventions that we can actually apply in our setting. So thinking about the research, thinking about the experiences for our young people as well. So I would like to hope that there is more than one takeaway, but hopefully a takeaway can be that actually it's something that is readable, practical and usable, and people can then take it into their practice.
I think for me, it would be that everything really truly does start with ourselves as the adults, and how important sometimes it might be for, kind of us to be able to meet a young person where they're at, and sometimes almost to lend our nervous system at a point where perhaps they're not able to self-regulate. And actually, that we all have the strength within us to be able to do that when we've got the strategies behind us.
Yeah, I think, in one way, the joy and the pleasure of actually writing a book with Jess is definitely something that I would say that has been really positive, in the sense that being two people rather than writing a book individually, being able to share our ideas, the work that we've done as well. It was a long journey. I never thought that I'd actually sit down and write a book, and here we are, 75,000 words later. And I think just to be able to see, we've had some feedback already, and to see that feedback. But yeah, I think it's just almost, did it happen? But actually sitting down and being able to reflect on what we did. But I must say that, being able to write a book with somebody that means so much, Jess, has been just an absolute pleasure in so many ways. That's me.
Yeah, I think for me, and Gemma, you'll testify to this, I was worried be able to fill 75,000 words. And actually, we probably didn't have enough words in the end. And yeah, just to echo, what a pleasure it is to really formalise something that we've co-trained for so many years together, actually to really be able to bring that into something that other people can now keep, is really, really powerful.
Oh, what makes one flourish? Flourish, I think for me, when we're thinking about, the work that we do and the book as well, is, relationships make me flourish, connections and, connecting with others and having that. And then away from that, something that I do to flourish is I swim. It's something that I've been doing for a number of years now, and that can be incredibly helpful to make sure that I'm the best I can be, not just writing, working, but equally ourselves as trainers. It's really important that we're making sure that we're looking after ourselves and flourishing when we're entering different venues, different rooms, and being able to hold that space as well. So that's me.
Absolutely. I think professionally, what makes me flourish is really seeing the impact that actually, there are so many wonderful things that we can do with children and young people, where we can get them to feel more comfortable, more confident and safer in our company. And then on a personal level, I really flourish when I'm traveling. I really adore just immersing myself in different cultures and other people's way of living. So that always keeps my own kind of emotional tank topped up, so that I can keep going into training rooms, keep hopefully inspiring others.